Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going over how you can transform your boring vanilla Skyrim dragons into something truly terrifying, if you can even call them dragons at this point. And we're doing it with just a few mods, so if you end up enjoying maybe even 2 minutes of this video, or maybe find a mod you like to install, make sure you hit that like button down below, and also subscribe if you're feeling generous. But otherwise, let's dive right in. To start us off, of course, we're going to be overhauling the way dragons look in Skyrim, and for this we have a few choices, but there is one main one that you're going to need, because this mod is one of the most important ones. This mod is called Majestic Dragons. This mod in simple terms makes dragons massive, and the reason why this mod is so important to this overhaul is because no matter how dangerous you make a dragon look with retextures, if they're still small, they look like easy targets. This is a simple mod honestly, but once you have this, you'll never look at vanilla dragons the same way again when comparing sizes. This is one of the cases where size does matter, unfortunately. But up next, overhauling the dragons with the mod called Dragon Models Modernized by the same mod author. This one I believe is the closest to a vanilla dragon look, but also a massive overhaul that you can get. You want to make sure Majestic Dragons overwrite this though, otherwise their sizes will revert and you'll just keep the cool look. This overhaul at base comes with 16k textures, and while that might seem massive, it kinda makes sense considering they're so big now, and you only have maybe 1 or 2 on your screen at a time, so it shouldn't affect you too much. But this mod also introduces new colors for dragons as well. Some look amazing and some look a little iffy. But if you do like pink dragons, this mod is for you. But if you want something a little more crazy, then we have to go with Game of Thrones dragons. Now this one is a complete departure from what we know as Skyrim dragons, but in a good way, giving dragons a new terrifying look. There used to be an all-in-one for this mod, so you didn't have to grab a bunch of smaller ones, but it got hidden for some reason. Now there's just a bunch of small mods you have to get every dragon in your Skyrim overhaul, but it's 100% worth it. I'm using the upscale 8K textures because the base is 4K and it can be a little bit blurry. But the real benefit to this is that you can also go and grab diverse dragons, because Game of Thrones dragons also has retextures for those. When this mod came out, a lot of people started supporting it, so we got to this point. Game of Thrones Dragons is part of a very large DLC sized player made mod that is currently still being worked on as I speak about it. I don't know if there's an exact known release date or even an estimate of it, but the showcases they've shown for it have been pretty amazing, so I have high expectations. But until then, I'm pretty happy with the new diversity of dragons that have been put in Skyrim, so you aren't bored with the same 3 dragon types anymore. But after overhauling their looks, we of course have to overhaul their combat next, and to start off we have better dragon breath. This mod makes it so when dragons breathe fire or ice or whatever you're using with diverse dragons, it isn't just a one-time attack that only affects those in a straight line. Now when a dragon breathes fire or ice, the residuals that are still on the ground act as an AOE, so any NPC stepping over it will take damage. Now, it kind of makes them overpowered to be honest, because NPCs kind of move back and forth and they can't really tell they're standing in a pool of poison as a metaphor. So it will kill them quickly, making it a real fight of you versus the dragon. So no more teasing them and just running away and letting NPCs die for you. And that's what it should be considering you are the Dragonborn. And I admit I'm also guilty of teasing dragons also, but a mod to combine with this does the same thing, but instead for melee attacks, called Better Dragon Melee. Now when dragons attack, their attack count is kind of increased, so even if they're just aiming for one NPC, if they are facing multiple or multiple are just in front of them or wherever they hit, it will hit them as well, which is kind of like a sweep attack which Precision gave to the player, but now it's for dragons. Which makes sense considering NPCs kind of charge at them and it makes it unfair that they only can attack one and then their health disappears. But we're not stopping there, we're combining this with Dragons Use Thu'um. And if you've noticed, dragons only use their attribute type Dragon Breath, but now with this mod, which also has a lot of patches by the way for whatever mod you might be using, this mod allows for them to shout at you using moves only the Dragonborn was able to. This is something that should have been in the game from the start considering the way that we shout is using the dragon's language. Never really made sense that it wasn't. But the description for this mod kinda makes you think it will replace all dragon attacks with shouts, but that isn't the case at all. You'll have a mix of shouts, dragon breath, and melee when they land, so you'll pretty much die a lot if you aren't prepared. The great part about this mod though is that the shouts have a small zone of attack, so it won't affect a large area, so if they aim for an NPC, you can use that chance to attack because they generally don't shout twice. Unless we combine it with the next mod, which is called Dragon War. This mod completely overhauls the stats of dragons, truly making them dangerous. and it also unlevels them, so you might run into a very strong dragon too early and be forced to run away. May hurt your pride, but this is great to use if you find the main story too easy, because essentially this mod will affect every dragon following Dragons Rising. What I also found really cool about this mod is that dragons are now immune to their attribute, so you can't fire a fireball at a fire breathing dragon and expect it to do as much damage as when you fire it at an ice dragon. It'll still do some damage, so they aren't completely immune to it, but it will be so low it's practically useless. This mod also allows for dragons to shout, but it doesn't do as much as dragons use Thu'um, so there's a patch between the two. But it also changes up their AI, making them do some very weird things. Like you might see them land without attacking and then take off without attacking, which is always weird to me, but they're just random now. You'll also see them stop to attack mid-air a lot more, or they might even land on the ground a lot more than usual. This mod can't completely make dragons unpredictable though, because they still have animations that let you know exactly what they're about to do, but it's so random now it's kind of fun to watch. But combining this with dragons use Thu'um allows them to use these shouts much more often, which in turn make them so much more dangerous to be fighting against alone. Overhauling them like this might finally make them strong enough to fight the Ebony Warrior. But now we got a mod adding on to this. That mod is called Dragon Combat Animations. This time I made sure to get all the attack animations no matter how long it took me, because this mod massively changes up the way dragons use melee attacks and expands their pool of attacking, allowing for a wider range of attack when they do hit enemies, so it'll attack more enemies now, if that makes sense. And with the mod Better Dragon Melee, it makes them as dangerous on the ground as they are in the air. Now you can no longer just run up to a dragon and get free attacks, or just run behind them while NPCs attack the head of the dragon, because this mod gives them sweeping attacks with their wing. That looks cool by the way if I'm admitting it, but also tail attacks that kind of attack in a 180 area. So now when you approach you'll have to actually be careful, or else you'll end up like these Whiterun guards who shouldn't even be here considering this is Ivarstead. But a quick immersive one I had to mention is Dragons Fall Down. This mod completely removes that cinematic effect that dragons have to land before dying, like literally their health will go up to 100% until they land where they just magically die. Now, if you kill them in the air they will just fall to the ground. It's kind of pretty funny to watch, but it's also immersive. It might also look a little glitchy sometimes because I guess Bethesda didn't expect this, but trust me, this mod is an absolute must-have. And since we overhaul dragons, I figured we should go and overhaul the things based on dragons, like for instance the dragon claws that everybody just seems to forgot about. And to fix that we have this beautiful mod called JS Dragon Claws, the Anniversary Edition version. Even though it says Anniversary Edition, you can still use it with Special Edition, it's just a texture. If it doesn't work it just won't show up. This mod completely changes up the dragon claws as you can see. I've honestly had this in my list so long I forgot what vanilla dragon claws look like. But honestly, once you have JS Dragon Claws, you won't be going back to vanilla Dragon Claws either way. I mean, who would, unless you're forcing yourself not to mod. But after Dragon Claws, we also have to give some love to the Dragon Priest with this essential mod called Dragon Priest Retexture @C. This mod completely retextures Dragon Priest, but not only just retexturing them like other mods have done, this also gives Dragon Priest their own unique color schemes, so they all look a little different, so that you can apply that to your brain so you know who you're fighting, because I kind of forget. These apply to the clothing of the Dragon Priest, but also the mask that they drop when you kill them. It was already hard enough to figure out what Dragon Priest mask you wanted to use based on enchantment effects, but now you also have to worry about your fashion sense. But trust me, Zabbao is literally the only reason I even use vanilla armors anymore. Their retextures have revived Skyrim for me, and no, I'm not overestimating here, that's how good these generally are. But now we got a new mod that has pretty much taken over Nexus. We have the Dragonborn Bestiary. This mod allows for you to interact with peaceful monsters or animals or kill the violent ones and add them to a bestiary similar to Witcher. And to make the menu appear, because it isn't part of the regular menu yet, we are waiting for a patch for that, I'm pretty sure it'll come soon. But to make the menu appear you have to press K, which by default you can change in INI file. This bestiary will keep track of monsters' weaknesses and strengths, and also how many of them you've killed. Also the items dropped when you have killed them, or when they are just killed in general, and give a little backstory on the lore of the creature. It's a great mod that's honestly making me want to do a hunter playthrough. There is also a popular add-on for this that will add new models to the bestiary if you use retextures like maybe 4th Unknown mods, but otherwise it'll keep the vanilla look of the monsters in the bestiary. And they look pretty good in there, so it's not really needed for the add-on, but I mean if you want it, it is there for you. Also, if you use Edge UI by Eugene, like me, Eugene is currently working on a patch for it and he put out the concept art for it extremely quickly, like within the same day. I was surprised. So I'd expect for there to be a patch for it out pretty quickly as well, but only for early access until public is released. The Dragonborn Bestiary is definitely one of those mods that you won't know how great it is until you install it for yourself, so I highly recommend it. But that was it for today, guys. I wanted to make this as quick and easy as possible without you having to jump through hoops just to overhaul your dragons. So let me know what you thought down below in the comments. I know I missed a lot of important ones, but as of right now, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Peace and love, guys.